Hi, I'm Shelby Aiken, and I'm here today with Dr. Matt Young and Cindy Young, and we're here to talk about Texarkana Emergency Center and Hospital and their journey and how they got to where they are today. How are y'all doing?
Good.
Welcome to our home.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for welcoming me into your home. It's so comfortable. While y'all were outside taking pictures, I had a minute to sit here and to reflect and just think about what words come to mind when I think about y'all. And a lot of them are generous and comforting and just so nice. Y'all are just really a great couple in Texarkana. But what we really want to talk about today is how y'all have built such an outstanding business in Texarkana from the ground up. But what I think also makes it special is that y'all have done it as a couple together, as a team. And that's something that is also really special. But something I really want to talk about first is your love story and what brought y'all together and brought us sitting here today.
He can tell about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there was
funny.
there was a time when I was in between college and med school. Did not get in my first attempt. And during that time, I would help mow lawns and clean up yards. And so I stopped at a gas station on State Line and was decked out in some tennis shoes that were stained with green stain from mowing the yards, some cut off fatigues, and an old blue shirt that had the pocket ripped off, and then the arm sleeves cut out. And so I was filling up my truck and filling up the lawnmowers and the gas and all that. And I saw a young lady that I went to high school with. And so I said, look, I'm happy to see you. And she said, well, I want you to come and meet my new roommate. And so she introduced me to Cindy. And that was the first time I ever met her. And I don't think she was too impressed the first time she met me just because of my outfit and what I was doing at the time. But I knew that I was going to ask her out and be pretty persistent.
He was very persistent. So we met in July at the gas station, and we started running into each other around town. And he asked me out about 5 times, and I kept telling him no. Mm-hmm. And then one of his good friends from scouting, Dr. Donnie Tribby, who now lives in Missouri, he was actually in between college and med school as well, and was working as an orderly at the hospital. And he said, hey, Cindy, my good friend Matt really wants to go out with you. And I think that you should go out with him. I think he's a really great guy. And I said, I don't know, Donnie. He goes, you should do it. So I said, okay, well, I'm doing a low pressure date. So I told him that we would go for lunch after church on a Sunday. No nighttime date, just a daytime date. And the funny thing was he picked me up and he drove to the Arkansas Boulevard Easy Mart and was going to get out. And he actually physically got out of the car. And I said, what are you stopping here for? And he said, listen, I don't have any money. He said, you're going to get a burrito and a Slurpee. And we're going to go to the park. And I looked at him like he was crazy. But he said, I'm just kidding. And then he got back in. And so I thought, well, listen, we were all about a good joke in my family. So I was like, I can deal. So that was kind of what won me over. We did go have a nice lunch somewhere, but we've been pretty much together ever since.
That's great. I love the sense of humor behind it and the persistence. And I think you still have both of those things. So that's wonderful.
He does. He won me over.
Yeah.
That's good. And Cindy, I heard you mention scouting, and I understand that you have a history with scouting. And can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure, absolutely. It's a huge part of our life. And Cindy's been involved with it too, with our 2 boys, of course. My family grew up in scouting. We're all Eagle Scouts, and the girls are also the Eagle Scout equivalent who are in our family. So there's 8 boys and 2 girls in my immediate family. And then Cindy just took it up immediately when we got together. And then our 2 boys also became Eagle Scouts. And just the Scout Oath and the Scout Law mean so much. And my dad once told me, if you live your life by the Scout Oath and Scout Law, God will always be on your corner.
Wow. That's wonderful. And talk to me a little bit about your boys. Where are they now and what are they doing?
So both of our boys are in Dallas. Mm-hmm. Logan, our oldest, is 24. He is in graduate school at SMU. He's majoring in finance. Will be graduating in May with his master's degree. He's already graduated with his undergrad from there. And then our youngest son is 20, and he is at the University of Dallas playing basketball and majoring in biology. Mm-hmm. He plans to do some sort of medicine. He's not sure if he's going to go to med school or do PT school or what he's going to do. But so they're both doing really well. So we spend a lot of time in Dallas.
Yes.
We're very proud of both of them. They're great kids.
They are great kids.
Cindy's been a wonderful mom to them and a wonderful wife, and couldn't have done it without her. And I think she made a pretty good choice after about 5 attempts of asking her out.
It all worked out really well for both of us.
That's good. That's good. Well, from hearing y'all talk, I can hear the importance of family and education. And talk to me a little bit about the background you've had with family, medicine, education. How did you become a doctor? How did you get into medicine?
Sure. So just with me, it's something I saw my dad. He was a general surgeon who practiced about 40 years here in town. And then mom also was a nurse back in the day before they actually had given out certificates. She was a LVN type nurse. And so it was in both of their blood. And so it just became obvious to us that it was in our blood too. Many of my older siblings would go off and maybe get a business or finance degree. And then eventually they kind of came back and settled back on medicine. Our parents never pushed us in that direction. As a matter of fact, many times we saw Dad was an independent physician on his own, so he was on call for himself. So a lot of times we saw the worst side of it, where he was always, getting called unless he could get coverage. But just seeing the kind of focus he got from medicine, but helping other people. And I think that's what we saw in it, how you could help your individuals that you live with that are in the same town, and just also, gave us the religious background, how much we believe and trust in God, and just knowing that that's kind of the ministry that drove us into healthcare and helped me. Emergency medicine especially was something that I loved. I love helping people when it's in the middle of a crisis. Nobody plans to have an emergency. So being able to be there and see people in raw emotions and taking care of them when they're really at one of the times that they need the help the most is really something that we love. I love from the practicing standpoint. The best time that I have is when I'm actually physically in a room with the patient or taking care of a patient. But with that said, for us to be successful, we also have to have the business side and somebody to be there to help get the building up and make sure that everything's there working. We never close. We're always open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And so there's always problems that need to be solved, not just from the care standpoint, but from the operational standpoint.
And we know you as the Chief Medical Officer of Texarkana Emergency Center and Hospital, but Cindy, you really run a lot of the business side of that and the operations. And I'd like to hear a day in the life almost and kind of what you do.
Just to tell you a little bit how we actually got here. When we moved here in 1999, we moved back. I was planning to be a stay-at-home mom, but it didn't quite work out that well. So in 2000, we took over management of one of the contracts in one of the local hospitals. And I all of a sudden became the practice manager because he needed help with it. And so we've actually worked together for over 20 years now. And so when we finished up with that, then I became a consultant for an ER staffing firm and did that for a little bit. And when the laws changed and freestanding emergency rooms became available in the state of Texas, we were kind of talking about how much it was needed in the Texarkana areas because the wait times were through the roof at both of the hospitals. And there came a point where I was kind of a little bit fearful because the hospitals were so busy and Matt was being so overworked. I was feeling that he wasn't being fulfilled as a physician because he wasn't able to spend the time with people that he really wants to spend time with. And so we had talked about it, and we'd had a couple of people locally approach us about doing it. Matt had gotten on Facebook for another little venture deal that we did. We really neither one were that much into social media at the time. And so he started this Facebook account. And on Christmas Eve of 2014, I'm usually the one that has to scroll through and accept or delete people and all that stuff because he doesn't know how to do much of that. And so I noticed this message from this random guy, and his name was Dallas Bells, and is a great friend of ours now. But he said that I'm really interested in building a freestanding emergency room in Texarkana. Have you guys thought about it? I'd really like to talk to you. And he actually had a friend here. I think he was married to his cousin. Andy Woodman was a mutual friend on Facebook. And so that's how he had gotten Matt's information. Matt and I called him together, and it really started within 2 weeks of that phone call. So it all started from a random Facebook message.
On Christmas Eve.
On Christmas Eve.
What a Christmas present.
Right.
And so by I believe it was mid-February, we had found the old bank building, which is which is in Calhoun Creek, and put it under contract. And so by Easter, we were ready, about getting very close to closing that year. I think Easter fell in March that year. And so we started demo and construction, and we're done by November of 2015. So it literally took less than 11 months from the time we got the Facebook message to opening our doors. And so it was really fast. But when I initially started with it, I was in charge of construction, and I was going to help hire everyone, and I was getting out by December 31st. I'm still not out.
Of what year was that?
2015.
That's how it goes.
And so Matt and I really do work well together. It's very unusual. We found a way over 20 years of working together. We figure out how to shut it off at home when we need to shut off. So we might say, well, we're going to talk about this for 20 minutes, and that's done. Then we're done with it. And, we try not to have lengthy conversations around our kids, especially when they were younger. So you just have to kind of compartmentalize it. But I don't recommend it for a lot of people. I know a lot of people, and I don't think very many people can do it successfully.
Yes.
But, and it's not that every now and then, every 3 or 4 months, there's something that we'll get on each other's nerves about working together. I think that's probably pretty good, considering
that's right.
as much time as we spend together. But that's kind of how I came into that role. And so now we have great people in place, and we've moved me up to where I'm more of a visionary for where we're headed in the future as the CEO, instead of more in the day-to-day grind of things. It's kind of more seeing what services we can add, things that we are currently doing that we can expand upon. So that's kind of my role now.
That's great.
And it's amazing. Dr. Bell's, Dallas Bell's grandfather was Dr. Jerry Bell's, who practiced here forever as a general practitioner, was also at that time, the public health authority. So kind of funny how things, come about. And so Dr. Dallas Bell's really gave us a great opportunity with a great group that had already done some freestanding ERs. And so we've been the first freestanding ER, now freestanding ER that's a hospital now. So Texarkana Emergency Center and hospital. Very proud of it. Great people that we work with. To mention all the physicians, it's Dr. Eric Jacobson, Dr. Kyle Groom, Dr. Dean Bowman, Dr. Bo Kelly, and then Dr. Shanna Spence works with us as well. And all them except for Dr. Spence have an ownership. And then we have great administrative team and great people from the time you walk in and see security, from the time you check in from the front desk, and then top of the line team for the treatment. And then again, behind the administrative doors, wonderful people there. Brooke Marshall's one of them. Kendall Griffith is our CNO. And then Amy Masco, who is the director of operations.
And your team does a great job of being all over Texarkana, in the community, helping others, going to health fairs, being active in education. I really think Texarkana Emergency Center and Hospital has done a great job of showing their presence in Texarkana. It's your 5-year anniversary, but you've just done an expansion. You've talked about adding the hospital side. What are the new services that offers?
So I'll let Cindy talk a little bit more about that from the operational standpoint.
So we added 4 inpatient beds, and we also added an MRI machine. So we have everything that the hospitals have pretty much. The thing about a micro hospital is you're not required to have an ICU or offer surgical services. We do have a procedure room that we can do some minor procedures in, but we have a cafeteria and everything like that you would experience. All of our furnishings are very nice, and it feels more like home or at a really nice hotel. And it's really meant to make you feel comfortable and to make your family comfortable. We have nice furniture in there so your family can stay with you. We offer really nice, better than hospital food. So we care about all the little things. It's about giving them spa grade products in the restrooms and giving them real nice plush towels. And we give them robes, with their stay. And it's that kind of thing. But it's really about making sure that we can provide all the services that we need to be a good emergency room, because we want to make sure that we can give everyone whatever they need.
And it's patient-centered, patient-focused. That's what it's about. It's about giving them that experience that they can get in, taken care of, and taken care of by the best in the 4 states area. And we're so fortunate to have the best physician, nurses, x-ray techs, medics to be able to lend that kind of service to people that come there. And for us, it feels so good to be able to take care of somebody in a timely manner and to hear them say thank you and how much you meant for them to be able to get taken care of in a timely manner.
Absolutely. And you talk about taking care of all of these other people and how important it is that they're comfortable, but you often take care of others. And we see that all of the time. Talk to me about some of the things that you're the most passionate about in the community and some of the things that you've done that you're responsible for that we might not always know about.
Well, of course, I've been LifeNet's medical director now going on 17 years. And what I really enjoy, I love going out, being out there, riding out with the crews. Amazing men and women who do that job, that answer 911. And when I talk about that, it's not just those at LifeNet, it's throughout the whole community, be it a volunteer first responder or a paid first responder, firefighter, law enforcement, and then, of course, any of the EMTs or paramedics. I consider all of them heroes in my book and friends, and just really enjoy working with them. And then also at Texarkana College, I'm the EMT program director as well for the medical director. And so get to help with the education part on them. And when they come out, they may not necessarily stay in this area, but we know they got a good education wherever they may go. And so just very proud to be able to do that and work alongside our law enforcement and work aside the local firefighters and just make sure that we can be there and help them out. Again, going throughout the community with health fairs, it's very important, I understand, for donation and monetary type donations. However, we give a lot of time and effort, a lot of being there and personal on the ground, boots on the ground, so people understand us and see us and know who we are, because that's more important to me. I know everybody needs finances and funding, but it's important for them to know that we really care. And when we try to do a project, we try to do something that helps everybody, not just one class of people, but everybody.
And Cindy, I participated last year for the first time in Shoes for the Soul as a member of the Junior League. And I learned that you had a large part in starting that project for the Junior League. And I was going to ask if you could just talk a little bit about that.
So it was our provisional class project, and I was on the committee to pick the project. And I actually grew up in a home where we had what we needed, but we didn't have like all of the luxuries. Like you got clothes when school went back to school, you got a nice Easter dress. I didn't have a lot of selection, let's just say. And so, buying shoes they didn't want it to be a time that was inconvenient for them. So, we had an issue where I had broke my sandal on a vacation, and it was a big expense in the 70s as a young girl to put that in our vacation fund at and I can remember the guilt that I felt about that. And then I really felt like there was a need for some of these kids, being in the schools with my children. There were just kids that just didn't have good shoes. And I thought, maybe that's what we can, something that we could look into doing. We had a great committee that put that together, but I do feel very passionately about it. And I know it has put thousands and thousands of pairs of shoes on children in the community. And there are actually grown people who I helped back when they were little that were like, oh my gosh, I remember you from Shoes for the Soul. Mm-hmm. I think Junior League taught me so much that's helped me in business. And it taught me so much about managing people. And that committee is like 30 something women, and they're volunteers. And I think what it taught me is at the beginning of the year, because it's a 1-year project, right? Your life may be in a great place, but by the time you get right before the fair, you maybe have a sick parent, you may have a sick child, or be going through a divorce. And so you have to figure out how to keep them on track with something that they're not getting paid for. Right. So you have to individually find out what works for people. And I think when you are dealing with employees like Matt and I, we have 40 something employees now at this facility, but we also own facilities part owners in Oklahoma City and Cabot, Arkansas. So I think you learn how to be more flexible and to be more compassionate and afford more grace when you really take the time to get to know people. And I think that we try very hard at Texarkana Emergency Center to treat all of our employees like their family and to try to see what they're going through and maybe see what's behind things, but also realize that employees kind of are like a bit of a small roller coaster because life happens. And you don't need to just support them when they're high. You need to support them when they're in the depths of their life and be more understanding. So
I'm very proud of her, for that project and then the work she's done volunteering too. I think both of us are very humble and, neither one of us really live a lavish life. What we enjoy is helping other people and taking care of other people. And we enjoy time with each other and time with our kids. And then again, so much is about our faith and, making sure that we're doing what we feel is right for others.
You say you enjoy time with each other and time with your kids, but you do work 24/7. Tell me what you do to relax and to unwind. And if you have a day off or a weekend off, where do you go? What do you do?
So if we have time off, as Cindy said, many times we may go to Dallas to see both our sons who are there, or when we can't make it up there, we go up to our cabin up at Albert Pike, and we have a place up there that's right on the river that we can get away and kind of a little small retreat. Of course, we still have phones and still have the ability for people to get in touch with us, but we just understand that, that's part of the job. Right. And really just being up there relaxing, seeing either, summertime or the fall colors, and just to being together. We enjoy each other, enjoy each other's company, laugh, and have our puppies that will go with us if our kids can't go.
I hear one barking right now. So. Cindy, we see Dr. Young a lot in his code or out at a health fair, things like that. But let's get real for a minute and tell me Dr. Young's maybe one of his strengths and also maybe an area of growth, as we call it in education.
Okay, so this is kind of funny. We know each other very well. We've been together almost 30 years. It's 29 next week. From the anniversary of our birthday.
Thanks for the reminder.
No, we're not in the first date. But we know each other really well. I have a very long list of weaknesses. I don't consider his list very long. But, Brooke Marshall, our marketer, and we are around him a lot. And sometimes he's very headstrong. He gets an idea and he's like a dog with a bone. And even though we told him all the reasons why it's not a good idea, he sometimes doesn't take no for an answer. So that would be one of them. And he's working on being better at taking constructive criticism.
Well, that's good.
That's right. We're still working on
that area of potential, correct?
Potential. There you go. That's good. That's great. But you have so many strengths, and we see them every day.
Yes.
Well, again, it's just a matter of enjoying other people, being able to help others. And again, I think, Cindy talked about us being another hospital in town. And we get along with our hospital partners, the other hospitals. They see our patients as well. We need them for intensive care services or if a patient needs surgery. So we work very well with them. Administration enjoys us. We enjoy the camaraderie and also the professional relationship, just as well as many of the physicians that we refer to understand they're getting the patients that are getting top-notch care and taken care of by the best of the best. And they just to continue that service.
Absolutely. And you talk about community and being in Texarkana and working well with others. Talk to me about some of your favorite things about Texarkana. You've lived here a long time, over 20 years, right? And so what are some of your favorite things about Texarkana and our community?
Well, to me, obviously, it's the people. I was born and raised here. My whole family grew up here. And I just enjoy being around people that I know, that I care for. And then even if I don't know you personally, when you come in the emergency department or the hospital, I probably know your relative. So for me, it's always fun talking to the patients when you're in there or just being out in town. COVID has slowed things down. Hopefully one day we will be past COVID or a new normal. But we just enjoy being out and helping out in the community and being out seeing friends and family. And it's a special place. It's where we chose to move back to. It's where we chose to raise our kids. And it's where we also chose to put a huge investment. I think Cindy can maybe mention it too. But, when we did Texarkana Emergency Center, the first freestanding ER in the 4-state area here, we used all local companies. Made sure that the finances stayed here locally. And then also with the addition, same thing.
I think for me, one of the best things about Texarkana is there's diversity for education. I think that our kids are well educated. Schools are kind of like doctors. someone may be good for one person and not good for the other. I think you can get great parochial education here. I think if you want a big school environment, you can get that. Our kids obviously went to Pleasant Grove. Most people know that, all the K through 12. And I think it was a great size school. I think if you want to know what your kids are doing and give them a little bit of that bigger school experience, I think it was great because you could find out pretty quickly if you wanted to, if they were misbehaving. But I also feel like our children were prepared for college. Mm-hmm. And, SMU and the University of Dallas are pretty hard schools. I think our education system is making leaps and bounds here, in the past decade, mm-hmm. for sure. And so I think that's great. I think the people are great. I think there are a lot more cultural things available than a lot of people in the community realize. I think track is bringing some great programs to the community. From a doctor's wife standpoint, in years past, trying to recruit people to this town. I think it has a small town feel, but I think we're getting better at marketing it to have more of offerings of culturally of a bigger city. It's very conveniently located to Dallas and Little Rock, so I think that's made it easy. If you want different places for shopping or whatever, there's always big activities that come through there that don't maybe not come here. But I think it's a great place to raise a family.
And then just talking about our boys and their experience here locally, for me, it's always great because when I get to work and practice or out in town to run across a teacher that had, meant so much to me in my growing up. I went a couple years out to St. James in pre-K and then went to Highland Park Elementary and then Pine Street and then Texas High. And again, being so many of us in our family, I was one of the younger five. The younger five all went to Texarkana College for 2 years. But I think the importance of that is when we do go talk to young people who are aspiring to become a medical profession or just aspiring to become some type of profession, let them know that it can be done. I mean, being here, there's great opportunities. Now we have Texarkana, Texas A&M, and with Texarkana College, and then also University of Arkansas, Hope, Texarkana, mm-hmm. that just great opportunities for people to be able to whatever they want to, and to let them know that the world can be yours. And some of the best teachers I had throughout my whole career in education are right here in Texarkana.
Absolutely. As an educator, it's just refreshing to hear you say that and believe that and to breathe that into our kids. That's just wonderful to hear.
Now, some of them may question how I got here and why I'm here, but they had a big part of me being here and what I'm doing today. Absolutely.
And we just appreciate everything that y'all do to our community to give back. And I know how passionate you all are. And just from my standpoint, I work obviously at Pleasant Grove, and I see you all with our education foundation and giving back. And I just know how passionate you are. But what sparked that passion? I mean, talk to me a little bit about that, Cindy.
Well, I think we believe that everything that we have belongs to God. So we feel it's important to give and share because it's really God's money and God's blessing. So that's our duty as Christians to give back his blessing to the community. And so one of the things that I'm so proud of is how successful that our business has become because we've been able to give that money back into the community. It was a very important part of us when we agreed to do this with our business partners. All of our partners feel that way about it. We want people to know that when they choose to come to us, it makes us able to put that money into organizations that they care about. And we have given hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars back to the community. Brooke and I have tried to come up with a number, and it's probably over $500,000 at this point, if not more, that we could nail down on how much we've given so far. So in 5 years, that's about $100,000 a year. So we feel like there are huge rewards in what we're doing for the patients and the care that they're getting, and us being able to have such a great facility, but it also rolls into what we're able to do for the community.
And it's so refreshing. We try to hit all the local school districts and make sure that we, give our attention to each and every one and finances as well. But, when you see a teacher or a coach with a student, it's just so refreshing to get them taken care of and know who you're talking to and know how it affects this student, either the injury or the illness. And for the community to know when they choose us, that's what they're getting in return. Besides great care, They're getting people that give back in the community, and not just with dollars, but with great ideas and great finances.
And we give a lot of time. I think that's the other thing. It's not just the monetary donations, it's the time. And it's not just us, it's all of our clinical staff, which our clinical staff and, all of our front desk workers, everyone, it's a great team and they make us. I mean, we take great care of them because they're who we are and they're what's helped build our reputation. It's not just the owners and the people that created it. They actually made it into our vision with their love and dedication and support. And so we love all of our TEC employees and families. They're all family to us.
And then I think when you mentioned about the chief medical officer, what we have to realize is the owners are physicians. So if it's good for the patient, we can do it really, really quick and make the best idea. And it's all, again, patient-oriented, patient-centric to make sure that they have a great experience. And the owners are physicians. So that's our top level of care, is if we give good care, we feel everything else will kind of fall in place.
Come here, Tommy.
All right.
I knew you'd come.
Okay. I know. I feel like a dog.
He wants a kiss.
Okay. As we wrap up, I just have maybe a more intimate question. Who is a mentor or someone that you look up to in your professional or personal life, especially when things get stressful or overwhelming?
Well, of course, we both always look up to God and trust God and make sure that He's number one. Growing up, I'd say it would be my parents, my mom and dad. But, now I'm sitting beside my mentor, somebody who I look up to, but also that I turn to when times are tough or if there's challenges. And I think I'll let Cindy answer her.
I would obviously say the same.
That's really sweet.
And he's my best friend, for sure.
And I think we can see that tonight as we look at you all and we look at your business that you've built together. That's very obvious by your leadership in Texarkana. So thank you all for having me here tonight in your beautiful home. I appreciate all you do for Texarkana, and we appreciate y'all.
Thank
you.